The Bulldogs is where we begin. And where do you start with the Bulldogs? A COVID scare for the team, 2 deregistered players being given a passage back into the game. Will they stay at Canterbury Bankstown? And of course, on top of that, Dean Payne, his future as coach. He's off contract at the end of the year. Michael, where are we at with this whole situation?
Yeah, Brace, it's a foregone conclusion now that Dean Payne, in the next 24 hours, potentially as early as tomorrow, will be told, thanks for your services, but at the end of the year, no longer required. Obviously, it's been a big 18 months for Dean Payne at the club. You know, there's been question marks over his future for a little while. Got that extension, and now we're in this situation halfway through the year.
To be clear, to be at the end of the year, he won't be set aside straight away?
Well, it's going to come down to financial implications for Canterbury, because if they tell him, see you later now, well, then they're going to have to pay him out. Anyway. So it comes back to whether Dean Payne actually wants to continue coaching as well. Does he sacrifice that money? There's a few decisions to be made, but I think you can expect that he won't be coach at Canterbury in 21.
Gus, he didn't inherit a great situation. Is it a fair call for the Bulldogs to make on Dean Payne?
I know Dean really well. He took the job on out of a sense of loyalty to the club because they were in a precarious situation, and there wouldn't have been too many other established coaches taken on what he did. And he stuck it out through loyalty to the club and for his love of the players. And I'm sure he's prepared to battle on for however long it takes. But I think Michael's more close to the mark than he thinks. I think there'll be a big announcement in the morning, and Dean may well have coached his last game for the Bulldogs. Right.
And does that mean, as you say, if he's coached the last game, do you get one of the assistants to step up? How would they play?
I don't know how that plays out. I spoke to Dean personally this evening, and I just said that there'll be an announcement tomorrow. So how it's played out as to whether or not he's been stood down, I would think that probably Dean sees the light at the end, the writing on the wall. And I'd imagine that this has been his call. But we'll see what happens in the morning.
It's critical they decide who the coach is going into next season, because they're finally coming out of their salary cap issues.
Yep.
They've got a heap of money to spend for next season to try and get some good players. They need to know who's coaching pretty quickly. So do you have any idea who's going to coach next season?
Well, the talk is around Trent Barrett. And obviously Canterbury's attack has struggled for the last 2 years, 3 years under Dean Payne. Now, Trent Barrett obviously had some time at Manly, did a terrific job with their attack. But the question for Trent Barrett, does he want to go into a club and political turmoil off field? Obviously with Manly, it was a little bit troublesome towards the end there. Does he want to go into a job where there's a little bit of uncertainty around the board and how that can disrupt his team? So I think Trent Barrett, if the job right now, you're telling me who's going to get it, I think Trent Barrett is the front runner.
You think he's the man, Gus? Would he be the right fit for the Bulldogs and what they need? Or do they need a Wayne Bennett to come in and
He's an outstanding young coach. Look, I think the thing for the Bulldogs at the moment, as we spoke about yesterday here in the studio, they need to make some decisions and get some clarity around this, because there are players that are off contract that want to know the future. The first question they ask is who's coaching. There are players they've been in the market trying to buy players and can't get anyone to commit. Why? Because they can't tell them who's coaching next year. They've got some young players in development mode. They're not getting football at the moment and need to be looked after. And they'll have staff and everything else around the club. You can't operate in that sort of environment. No team survives in that sort of environment. It's just, you might say, just concentrate on other things and not let this worry you, but it does worry players. It really does. It worries staff, and the uncertainty, I think, is worse than any injuries or suspensions or anything else that's been thrown at them. So I think as of tomorrow there'll be some clarity around that. Then I think it's in the best interest of the Bulldogs to move quickly and make a statement as to who's coaching, because that affects their recruitment, their development and everything else that's going on with the club. They're already gone for this year. They're not going to make the 8. So everything they do between now and the end of the season is a run-up into the off-season, which is a run-up into next year. They need to get 2021 activated tomorrow.
The Bulldogs have always, I suppose, tried to look within. Do you reckon someone like Jim Dimmick's a chance of going back, or they'll move on to someone outside of the Bulldogs culture, so to speak?
I've got no real idea on that, and I'm not even sure who's making that decision. I'd imagine it comes down to the Football Club Committee, and at the end of the day, Lynn Anderson will have to sign off on whatever happens in that regard. But there are some good applicants out there. A lot of the ones that are being bandied around at the moment are assistant coaches with no first grade or head coach experience. So there's always a bit of a gamble taking on one of those. And there aren't too many established coaches out there that I think would suit the Bulldogs. So it's, I think Trent Barrett's a very, very good option for them. I know how good a coach he is, but again, it's a big ask. He's not, he's working into a rebuild.
Gus, if Trent Barrett is the man, Penrith are going so well, and there's a lot of talk around how good the influence Trent Barrett has had on that club since returning. What did Penrith do? Because they've been in this situation before. You at the club a few years back when he got the Manly job and he was asked to take gardening leave. How did Penrith nurse this situation to ensure it doesn't disrupt them if he is the man for the Bulldogs?
I don't think it'll disrupt them. I mean, they've got a great coaching staff out there. They've got Cameron Ciraldo and Ivan Cleary and plenty of other academy coaches out there who can step into the breach. Trent's had a tremendous influence on them out there this year with his coaching style and attack, and you can all see that. But, the Panthers are the Panthers. They'll find someone else, no problem in the world.